I welcome you all for today's virtual lab. In this virtual lab, we are going to try and learn to program ARM processor LPC2148. It is manufactured by the vendor NXP, a subsidiary of Philips. So I'm going to teach you through some basic steps on how to create a project and how to add the device and how to get on with the basic assembly programming in ARM LPC2148. If you have Microvision 4, you can get on with Microvision 4, and please make sure LPC2148 is present under the NXP tab. Like 8051 was present under Atmel tab, under NXP tab you will find LPC2148. If you do not have Microvision 4, you are supposed to have Microvision 5, in which case the older processors like 8051 and LPC2148 will be missing. So you have to download a legacy support. I'll show you how to download a legacy support. So just go to Google. I think I'm not able to get it here. So probably go to Google. In Google, type the keywords Keil Microvision 5 legacy support. When you do that, what happens is like the first link that you will get will be legacy support for Microvision 4, and click that. It will take you to the Keil download page where you will see two legacy supports, one on the left hand side and one on the right hand side. The one on the right hand side is the actual legacy support that you are supposed to download. It basically has the devices for ARM 7, ARM 9 and your Atmel. So once you download that and install, you will have the legacy support incorporated in your Microvision 5. Now what you have to do is, once that is done, as usual, like any other Keil project, open a new Microvision project. Open a separate folder for it. This is something that you are already used to. So let me create okay. So once I get into the folder, I name the project, save the file, and once it saves the file, it will ask for the device. If you have not installed the legacy support, this is what you will see. You will not see LPC2148 or your Atmel or Novartin or anything else if you have not installed the legacy support. After you have installed the legacy support, this software pack will have been highlighted, and all you have to do is drop it down and choose legacy device database, and there you go. Analog devices, ARM, Atmel, everything will be there. Now all you have to do is go to NXP. This is the vendor under which we will find LPC2148. So go to NXP. In the search toolbar, you type LPC2148, and there you go, you get your device. Okay, so this is the ARM processor that we are going to work with. Double click on that and then click OK. Now again it will ask for a startup file. If it is an assembly, we don't need a startup file. Only if it is C, we need a startup file. C programming of the same assembly processor, same ARM processor, we'll see it in the lab class on November 2nd. But right now we'll focus on the assembly. So for the startup, just say no, and voila, your project is created. As usual, you have to create a text file. Okay, where you will be typing your assembly programming. Okay. Now please remember, in ARM you have the data memory and the code memory in the same memory, so it's von Neumann. So you have to define your area where you are going to type the code. You have to define your area where you are going to type the data as well, so that in the code area there is no read-write operation that is happening, and in data, the read-write operation happens, because code needs to be secured and should not be altered during the course of execution. Now in 8051, I told you the first column is for label, the second column is for code, right? But you people never listened. You wrote it in a single column. But still 8051's assembler, Keil assembler didn't take it in a much serious note, and still it compiled your program. But whereas for ARM, these directives are very, very important. The first column should always be label. You write any keyword in the label column, the assembler or the compiler will give you an error. So please do not write any keyword in the first column. The first column is always for label. Okay. So to be on a safer side, I'll give 2 tabs where I should start my code from. Okay, so give 2 tabs, and always the first column, this first column is for labels, and this is where my code should start from. Now the first keyword that we are going to learn today is the keyword called area. So what is this area directive? Area directive is nothing but an assembler directive that tells the assembler that I am going to define my area. So what kind of definition an area can have? An area can be defined as code or data. Okay, because they are residing in the same memory. I have to be very careful that my code segment is not touched. So it's like as simple as if I have a very sensitive experiment designed on the table, and if students are going to come, what will I say? Please do not touch this experiment, it is very sensitive. Okay, so similarly, area is a directive, assembler directive, that tells the assembler that whatever I am going to define as code should be treated with caution, and whatever I define as area can be read or written to. So first I am going to write my code, that we will see first. So I am going to define this area as code. So area code. So this code, this segment, what I am going to define is defined, and I should give a name for it. For example, my house is in Vandalur. So Vandalur is the name of the area. So whenever I say Vandalur, you know what area it is and where it is. So this code should be given a name. So let's say my program is a name. So there is an area that is defined as my program, which is going to be a code segment. So what should be the attribute of this code segment? Can we write in the code segment when the program is in execution? No, it should be, the instructions should only be read from the code segment. Nothing should be written back to the code segment, otherwise it will corrupt the code segment. So I say read only. So I have defined an area for writing my code whose name is my program. So whenever the name my program comes, the assembler directive will know that it is a code and it is only a read only segment, nothing else. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll just go save it as, let's say, g my program 1.asm. You see all the keywords are highlighted. Now the next line of your program should be a word called entry. Entry is equivalent to main program, main in your C program. Okay, entry in assembly is equivalent to main in your C program. Now I have given entry. Now the first thing I'll do is move R0 comma hash 5, and let's say enter. So I am moving the number 5. Remember in 8051 you used to put here as H, B, D for describing it as hexadecimal, binary or decimal. In ARM programming, after 5, after you define your immediate value, it should not be accompanied by any alphabet like H, B or D. By default it will take it as hexadecimal. Okay, now I am simply moving a number 5 into my register R0. Okay, so as usual, right click, add existing files, assembly. So I am adding my file, done. So now all I have to do is translate it to errors. Okay, what was the error was, I had written area code and then the name of the area. It should be the other way, area, name of the area and the attribute code and read only. So this is the right syntax. So first you type the area directive, then the name of the area, then whether it is data or code, then whether it is read write or read only. Okay, now let's translate it. I get 0 error 0 warning. I have compiled it and then finally I have built it, 0 error 0 warning. Now as usual, go to your debug, press debug, and on your right hand side you see the general purpose registers R0 to R12. R13 is your stack pointer, R14 is your link register, R15 is your program counter. CPSR and SPSR are current program status register and saved program status register, similar to your PSW register. Now when I do a stepwise execution, in 8051 you would have clearly seen the value appearing here immediately as I proceed through the steps. Yes, but unfortunately here in ARM you will be able to see the result only when I stop the execution. So I have moved the value 5 excuse me, the value 5 into R0. So when I stop the execution, you see the value 5 appearing. Okay, now if you want to see the 5 instantaneously appearing as and when the line is getting executed, you have to use a label and a branch statement to halt the program temporarily. These branch statements will be dealt in detail in your theory class, so let me not detail on that. So B stands for branching, like your jump statement. You say S jump here, right? So this is something similar to that. So now I go to the debug. Now if you see, when I execute it, you can see the value 5 appearing here immediately. Okay, so now basically ARM is a register architecture, based on, or we also call it a load store architecture. Now the instruction moves an immediate value into a register or moves a value from one register to another register as long as the value is between 0 to 255. That is, if it is an 8-bit value, you can use move to move it from one register to the other, or to move an immediate operand to a register. But what if the value is greater than 8-bit? Because ARM is a 32-bit processor, right? Then we cannot use move. We have to use a command called LDR for loading the value. So if I have to move a bigger number, I'll say LDR R0, comma, you won't put hash symbol, you will put equal to symbol, and you will write it in this form. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a bigger number. So how do you use LDR directive? LDR R0, comma, instead of hash symbol for immediate representation, you will use equal to 0x0 1 2 3 4 5. Now let's see how this value is getting loaded. So as soon as you see 1 2 3 4 5, this is greater than 8 bits. So whenever the value is greater than 8 bits, you are supposed to use LDR. Okay. Now what I want you people to do is, taking this as a cue, I want you to load two 16-bit values in a register, add them, subtract them, multiply them, store it in another register, show the result. Similarly, load two 32-bit values in a register and then add them, subtract them, multiply them and store it in a register, separate registers, and show it to me. Okay. Hope you understood everything. If you have any questions, I'll be online. Please don't hesitate to ask questions. Thank you.